Thank you, Commission. So what we have before you is that we have a single lot that is on PFR, and that's public recreation, public facilities and recreation. Okay, there's a number of myriad things that can be in a PFR, and it's more civic, quasi-governmental kind of than residential. Matter of fact, a single family residential home is not allowed at all in a PFR. In a PFR, it could be convention centers, water treatment plant, baseball fields, and so knowing the neighborhood, all the neighborhood around there is R1, and so just think of the possible impact that if PFR could have on that neighborhood there in zoned R1. And then let me say this, PFR doesn't mean that it's green space, because some of the things I mentioned to you has nothing to do with green space. You know, like a sewage treatment plant is allowed in PFR. Okay, so if you look at the zoning ordinance, there are, you have to choose a reason for why to change the zoning map. And so number one would be there's a manifest error that has occurred. That's the first one. Then another, the second one is a change in conditions. And that's from a macro level in terms of, say, the overall community, that there's changes have occurred, change in population, development, etc. Then there's one more, and that's a change in conditions in the neighborhood. And that is what the staff report is all about, concerning that. Because for one, that in this PFR is they're asking for it to be zoned R1, which means it's more restrictive in nature than a PFR. All right, then the second thing is that if you look at what's happened in the past, there have been some developments that have occurred that were R1 zone properties, and they were rezoned to R2 for a subdivision development. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying that in the past we have, the city has changed some land to R2. Another thing, we have changed some PFRs to R1. Right up here on the circle, it was PFR, mm-hmm. And it was privately held, like this is. And so, anyway, then there's been other places on Diamondhead Drive West was the same way, by Twin Lakes. That was PFR, and it was rezoned, and now the city owns that. And looks like we may have a dog park there. Okay, so this is the contention that that R1 will be the most appropriate zoning district for that, to change it to R1. And it would be less intrusive, it's more restrictive, it protects the neighborhood for more intrusive developments, and that this would be more suitable. And I believe the evidence would be clear that this is a reasonable approach why this should be changed. Notwithstanding that a development permit will need to be obtained for this, and this would be the condition for rezoning as well. So that's my report. The staff does propose to approve it to R1 as petitioned, from PFR to R1. The staff does support that rezoning, changing the map. Anyone have any questions for me or comments?
I agree with you. I don't know if this is on. I agree with you, Mr. Jones. That makes total sense, and I'm with you on that.
All right. Okay.
I have a question.
Sir.
How many of these properties are there that were erroneously done PFR when they became a city? And is there a way that we can just, instead of having piecemeal meetings, bring them all together, say, this was never intended to be PFR, and put it back to what it was intended to be, so people don't have to come and do this?
Have we knocked almost all of them out, Mr. Jones? I think we're getting close to that.
Yeah. Well, we're on third base and we're heading home.
Are we getting waved on?
Yes, I said we're waving on home. To answer your question directly, I don't know. There might be one or two out there, but it's a few. It is.
And I would say this as well, to that issue, as we look at the comprehensive plan, one of the elements of that, as we adopt that, will be a look at all the zoning. So in some of these places where we find some things that just don't work or haven't worked, we'll be able to clean those up as we review the comprehensive plan. So maybe we can catch some of those.
Volume plan, straighten that out?
Yes, sir.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Has anyone considered, is there any need for this to remain as is currently designated? Is there a public need, like this particular piece of property should be PFR rather than an R1? Is there any need in that area for a public space that anyone is aware of? Okay.
No, I don't know of any, but however, the dynamics of the lot is like 26,000 square feet, give or take. That's the size of the lot. Okay, the types of things that is allowed in a PFR, there's not enough land to have such a facility, and or the location.
In that dog park.
The lift station fit there?
It could, yes, it could.
PFR use?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So has water and sewer been contacted to see if maybe they had that set aside as a potential lift station?
No, sir. No.
But water and sewer shaking the head, no, they don't.
And they don't have the ownership of the property, so.
We do not, that particular basin is solid.
All righty.
Okay. That's my question.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone who wants to speak to this issue and the public?
But the applicant, you want to say anything? Sure.
Thank you. Good evening, y'all. Thank you very much for listening to Mr. Jones. Jeff Jasby, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not used to coming up here. I've owned the lot since 2015 or 16, paying dues, paid taxes on it. The problem I have, or one of the issues, I know a mistake was made, no problem with that. 2.5 months have gone by and building costs have gone up. So we're about $6-7 grand more as far as additional costs. I should have started 2.5 months ago, on early part of February. Is there any way that we can be compensated for the 2.5 months that we've been put off? Seeing that it wasn't our error.
Jurisdiction of this committee, okay,
Mhm.
commission, okay?
Mhm.
So you'll have to take up with,
The building department?
not only the building, but also the city council, as well as the city manager will have to discuss that with you.
Okay.
That's outside of us purview.
Yes, sir.
Thankfully.
All right.
Jeff, how long ago did you realize it was PFR and ask?
We filed a permit beginning part of February. I've owned the lot since 2015 with Jim Kotowski, I sold the lot to my daughter February 5th. We went in right afterwards to get a building permit, and that's when we were told that the lot was zoned incorrectly, or the lot was on PFR.
So that, you found out in February that it's PFR?
Yes. And I had to go through the channels. I guess you have to put something in the paper, and since then, concrete's gone up $3 a yard, plywood's gone up another $5. Now, building costs are just terrible. So it's about $6,000 additional now, and it's going to keep going up,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right.
And, you know, one of the, you all know, you're all aware that one of the requirements when there is an application such as this, there are requirements in our ordinance for notice and, you know, all the adjoining landowners have to be noticed, so that's one of the builders. So, you know, the city got it on there as quickly as we could possibly be able to get it through this commission.
I appreciate that.
As you understand, just so you're aware, this commission makes a recommendation, if we go, their recommendation will go on the city council's agenda, and that will be Tuesday of next week, so they'll need to make those the final.
Okay, so there's one more we have to go through?
City council next week, they make the recommendation,
Okay.
the city council makes the final decision.
All right,
Just wanna make sure you're aware.
thank you.
And once they, presumably pass it, how long until it's done and we can start?
Immediately. No problem with, you know, then it just leaves the permitting process and we go.
We'll make sure the plans are looked at where that, if the city council does approve it next Tuesday, they'll be ready to go next meeting.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, board, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we also have, John, sorry, I can't read the last name.
Last name is Bunce.
Sorry.
Just state your name again.
John Bunce. I live across the street from the property in question. My concern here is not with Jeff and his construction. He's an excellent builder. Jeff is an excellent builder and does a good job. He's built a house for me in the past. The only reason I'm here today is because I got a letter in the mail from you all saying we want to rezone it from public use to R1. I understand that. And yet, before this meeting, the land has already been cleared, a pad has been put in, dirt has been filled in, it's ready to build on today. Before you all have decided whether or not it's going to be rezoned. I'm a little confused by that.
Well, I would just say, one of the conditions that Mr. Jones and building officials have made on this, this change here is that a development permit is required. So, my understanding, Mr. Jones, the development permit is not obtained, but as part of this process, he will have to get a development permit in addition to the building.
But you've missed my point.
I understand.
The point is, it's now zoned for public use or public facility, whatever. And yet it's already been, all the land, all the trees are gone. And all the land has been filled up with red clay. Am I missing something?
Sir, even with the PFR, the lot could have been cleared and used for, as we discussed.
But
used for a restaurant.
but none of those issues are for R1.
I agree with that.
Okay.
The lot could still
That's the only
be developed.
confusion I have.
And so that's why we're moving to correct that at this point, and require a development permit is, has to be obtained prior to anything being done.
Okay.
Wait
I
a
think the
second.
confusion was that nobody knew this was PFR. He went in and got his permits, and then during that period, they found out that it's PFR, so now we're having to do this. He thought that he owned a lot that was R1.
But in February, where he found out about it, he's already cleared the property.
Okay, as a PFR, he would have been allowed to clear that property and to bring in the clay, PFR. He wouldn't be allowed to build a single-family home, but he could do what he's done with PFR. So the rezoning didn't change any of that,
Okay?
okay?
But he was allowed to do that, this is privately owned property, it wasn't publicly owned property, privately owned, just zoned as public property. So if you own a piece of, well, PR, this particular zone property, and you wanted to clear it, just to clear it, you can do that.
How can you own a piece of public property?
Because it's zone public property.
It's zoned PFR, which is not public property.
It's confusing, I know, sir.
It is
Thank you for your
confusing.
question.
Well, John, what happened, it was owned by Purcell. And when Purcell, went bankrupt and land went to the various places that it went, and then the city, became city, it was erroneously zoned. If you haven't been to the previous meeting, this is the third piece of property, or actually more than that, because one of them was multiple pieces of property, that the city, the agency that the city used to work with POA erroneously, zoned multiple properties PFR that were not public property. They were privately owned by Purcell. And after that, Jeff bought that property from Purcell, so it's never been a piece of public property. It was erroneously zoned PFR. So it's never been designated to be green space. It's never been considered that. It was a clerical error, basically, when it went from the POA to the city. And an agency made a mistake. So this is, I think, the fourth incident that we've had to correct. And that's why I was asking how many more of these are gonna come up, and if we can't just do a blanket issue where we correct all the
The
PFR
purpose of
mistakes.
this meeting is to try to correct all those problems.
Right.
Correct. And,
Okay.
well, but we can only correct one at a time as they bring it to us.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
No.
All right. We need a motion before we can
I-
further discussion.
I make a motion, we approve.
And I would just make the point that, if your motion is to approve, that you adopt the findings and recommendations of the building official.
I make a motion, we approved and adopt the, whatever our council just said.
Staff
Okay.
recommendation.
Thank you.
Do I have a second? Okay, any discussion on the motion? None? We need to read the motion again, council.
No, I mean, is everybody clear that the motion is to approve the application, the rezoning as petition, and the staff recommendation and findings of the staff? So, I guess Miss Tammy's the important one to make sure she's got it written down. Before you all say yes or no, does everyone understand that that's the motion in the second?
Okay. Everybody agree, understand?
Good.
All right, roll call vote, Ms. Tammy?
Commissioner DeBow?
Aye.
Commissioner Flowers? Aye. Commissioner Hector? Commissioner Owens? Commissioner Lael? Commissioner Ferguson?
All right.
Chairman Ruble?
Aye. Motion is passed, move on to the next item of the agenda. Okay. Tina and Gina Stockwell will have an application requesting a variance to the zoning ordinance article 4.6.5E triple R. Okay? To allow the construction of a screen gate enclosure on an existing deck, which is 2 feet 4 inches from the rear property line. The rear deck is set back a minimum of 20, the rear setback is a minimum of 20 feet. The variance requested 17 feet 8 inches. The property address is 689 Block Street. The tax parcel is 0672-0-36-090.333. The legal description is Diamondhead subdivision phase 2, unit 3, plot 5, lot 63, and a portion of lot 64. The property is located in R2 zoning district, and the case file number is 020-100-009.
Can you hear me now?
All right. The Stockstill live on the golf course. They have a porch on the back, a deck on the back. That goes within, 2 feet 4 inches, I believe, of the property line between them and the golf course, okay? And as you know, setback for golf course property line is 20 feet. Okay? Setback for the rear setback is 20 feet. All right? And what they're asking to do is for their comfort and the safety of themselves and the grandchildren, because they live on the golf course, they want to put an enclosure with a roof over it, over this deck. And that enclosure would go, I believe it's a screened-in enclosure. They also want to put a spa back there. And they want to enclose that to protect themselves and the grandchildren from the errant golfers. Like Terry. So, so anyway, that's what we have here, is they've come to ask to put an enclosure over the existing deck. As I understand it would be, and it's in your packet here, and it shows the information of it. So, that's what we have, they're asking for, instead of a 20-foot setback, they're asking for a 2-foot 4-inch setback. So, that's what we have.
So there are questions?
The applicant request.
So we're requesting the variance, and what's the staff recommendation?
Normally what we do is we have the applicant speak, and then any opposition.
You're gonna come back, okay,
And then
good.
I'll come back.
Gina? And Tim? Please come up and state your name and your address, please.
Tim Stockstill.
Gina Stockstill, 689 Oahu Street.
Just where you guys know, of course, we purchased this house. We intended on building on the south side, which I still have that lot. But we thoroughly enjoy this place. We want to keep it. The setbacks wasn't a concern then, because we was just going to live there temporary. Bought the house, remodeled it, and while we built the new house on the south side, and then, of course, sell it. In the meantime,
We fell
decided
in love
you had to stay there.
it.
So we've
With
done.
each other or with the property?
with the property, watching
Yeah.
the golfers.
So, in the meantime, we've, the Senate, made a decision to make continuing improvements to this property. And one of them being redoing the back deck, which was existing, I guess from our understanding, since the house been built. So I was gonna redo that deck just because of the condition of it, and then come off the house itself with a, same type of material as the roof, along with screens on the side, a portion of it. And then have like an outdoor kitchen on the other portion. So that was the intent, and as he said, you have some golfers that need to work on their slice a little bit, and which is okay. That's, you understand that when you live on a golf course. But now that our position's changed, we're wanting to redo this house to hopefully be there, in it forever. So that's the direction we're going in. That's the reason I guess we're here to ask. We purchased the other half of there was a lot between us and the other neighbors, so we purchased that lot and split it to add more property as well. So, it's just a deal, as you look through, as you look through this neighborhood, a lot of houses was, had some bad surveyors, I guess, whenever they were originally built. They built some of them too far back. As you see the house right beside me, he's not even 2 foot off the property line. So it was just misplaced years ago, which is understandable. But, and there's nothing you can do about it now. The house that's where it was built, that's where it is. So it's 22 foot 4 inches off the property line at this point. You want to do a 20-foot enclosure, if you guys would consider that.
There's many other reasons besides the golf balls, though. I mean, we have glasses, slide glass doors that were there. So the house was built in 1980, and from what I understand, Dr., Mr., and Mrs. Flood owned it since, for 30 years. But there's also creatures. We have a red fox that lives under our deck. Somehow I feed it, but I feed all the creatures, so I don't know. It's not our fault that it was back, that we're that far back, but I can't even go outside with the kids. I have to stand in front of them because the balls come at it. At nighttime, it's bizarre how many animals you get. So we're trying to protect everybody from everything, the creatures and ourselves.
You can see just an example of what we're looking at trying to do. So, sure.
No, y'all don't have a copy?
So, again, knowing the rules prior, but, like I said, that wasn't the intent.
I apologize.
Okay, so you wanna come back 20 feet or so from the back of the house?
Correct. And we'll be putting this swim spa in,
Okay. How wide is it gonna be?
44 feet.
How wide is the back of your house?
That's where you see the red outline.
Yes, sir? Okay, that's where you're gonna place it.
That would be enclosed. This would remain open. If you guys see that. It's 44 by
44 or 20.
And it's just another little view, excuse my artwork, but it kind of gives you an idea. All this will be flattened, the swim spa will be inside.
Right now, it's definitely a hazard. I don't know if you see the pictures. I don't know how these people live. It's double leveled. We've had people fall, so there's caution tape out.
I
'cause
think it
that's
was
how
a
bad it
dance
is.
floor or something.
That's exactly what I said.
Right. We appreciate it. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, I do. So that deck was probably built in the 80s or whatever, the one that's currently there.
Correct.
How much of that would be under the, I mean, I guess you'd have to put it up, make it all one level and then,
Definitely.
yeah,
It would
so,
all be one level.
so it's already encroaching anyways, I guess,
Yeah.
at this point, so.
It's
uh,
actually encroaching all the way to the property line.
Because you're
I wanna
only,
back it up.
so you'd have to have a 2-foot patio back there to be,
That's right.
Right.
2 foot.
Correct.
well, that would be kind of a narrow, I mean, Gina might be able to get through it, but,
Yeah, I know.
I
Well,
And
don't
I
think
would.
Tim would might be able to make it through there.
You might fit in.
But yeah, you're correct, and I'm assuming the way I understand it is decks is not an issue. You can go to the property line. It's just when you go to have an enclosure.
I tried to do some research to see if there was a variance previous through the POA, and here I can't find anything. I mean, I've dug, so 30 years ago, I don't. No.
All right, appreciate it,
Gina or Tim?
Gina.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks.
Okay.
I believe we have Miss Penny Crawford who wants to speak to this.
Oh, Tim? State your name and address again, please.
Penny Crawford, 7922 Apaki Place here in Diamondhead. Here we are again looking for a variance to change the guidelines that you're already here to enforce. And I had thought at first, we're talking about a screen structure that had screen all the way around. We're talking about now a structure that comes off the roof of the house with the same materials as the roof of the house and goes out within 2 feet 4 inches of the property line. Now, if I wanted to put a glass room on the back of my bedroom, I could not do that because I'm already at my 20-foot level on the golf course. And I could not do that whether I had a patio or not. And this patio sounds like it's in such poor condition that it may have to be removed anyway. So it's not the guideline here. The guideline here is we want a 20 by 44-foot room on the back of our house to enjoy our property some more. And I sympathize with wanting to enjoy your property some more. You know, I live on the golf course too. But I just don't think it's right for y'all to let this kind of thing continue to happen where we give away our restrictions and our guidelines, and we don't preserve these restrictions that are here to benefit all the rest of us and our property values. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? Or the way I understood Mr. Hunt told me into this, just assume I did not connect it to the house. Then I'm being told it wouldn't even be an issue. Is that a true statement?
If you didn't connect it to the house,
Correct, if it was just,
you would still have the same issue in terms of setback.
okay. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yes, sure.
Gina?
And by the way, no fault of ours, our whole back of our house is glass.
Again, we're here with your permission, thank you. Okay,
Members Gray, Gray hair have a question.
thank you, I appreciate it. All right. The staff has researched this. The property is on the golf course, and they're not
exceptions to variances, depending on what the situation and circumstances are. There's also denied variances. If you remember the case we had with the owners wanted to extend their property fence in front of their house, basically, another 25 feet, and he denied that, okay? He suggested they plant plants, etc., rather than extend the fence. So that's where we're at with this. We have right now on the table the recommendation of the staff. So that's where we're at. We can have further discussion on the motion, but we have a motion to move forward with the staff recommendation. So we need a motion for that. Accept the staff recommendation as written. And we'll vote on that. If we defeat that, then of course we can have another motion. But that's what's proposed by the staff to us right now, as we refuse the request from the property owners for the variance. I need a motion from someone. I'm going to discuss this.
I make a motion that we, agree with the staff recommendation.
I need a second. Motion's been moved and seconded. Move to discussion. Okay, we discussed the motion. Anything we want to do regarding the motion? Our thoughts, feelings? Remember, we can take the motion and talk about it, and if we want to make certain exceptions or changes to what the proposal coming from the landlord, we can discuss that as well. So let's talk about this. I want to be the last one to speak because I don't want to influence you with my thoughts first. Bill, questions, comments, thoughts? You were a good thought.
I agree with the staff that, and the fact that the difference in this one is there are people that oppose it. And if I was a neighbor, one of my oppositions to it would be blocking my view, looking the house to the left, if they were looking towards the T on that hole, or the house to the right, looking towards the green, that extension could impede their view of the golf course. So for that reason, and since there are other people that have objected from the neighborhood and the staff has objected, and it is putting a structure within what 2 inches or something 2 feet of the line, I think that it's a little too much of a variance.
Yeah. Lynn, you look at the property.
Yeah, and I would say, given the explanation, regarding, the grandfather in, it is a significant addition or, to the property over and above what's existing or what's grandfather. So I would have to agree with, the recommendation of the staff as well.
I agree with the staff also. I just think it's too close to stop.
I agree with the staff also. I mean, I understand that most people like to go into their backyard and enjoy their backyard. However, with the drawings that we've been provided, the front yard looks like it's large enough. It is far enough away from the golf course to not have to worry about golf balls. So, you know, there is that to take into consideration.
Todd?
I guess I'm the lone wolf that disagrees with this decision, but I think that there should be some compromise because they're kind of in a jackpot here. They only have 2 feet to work with from the setback, and that wasn't their fault. And they probably didn't know it when they bought the property. And the patio was existing already there when they bought it, so, but that's just my thoughts on it, so.
They do have the half lot next to them that they've acquired, that probably some expenses. I mean, I know it's not the same view, but it is a place that.
Well, just be mindful that, these variances being given to selected people. You can drive around on the golf course and
would say to that, that when variants are given, I've not known personally anybody that's had a variance. We've all voted whether or not, and generally there is, if it's denied, there is a reason that is more towards the community than towards the person, and it's not given or denied based on the person. And like I said, in my opinion, and I grew up on the golf course, if our neighbor would have built 20 feet out from their deck, that definitely would have blocked our view from our house of the golf course.
Everybody understands though, it's not a room, it's just a screen.
Screen. And nobody from the side of us objected. They all thought it was a good idea. They know that we're getting hit by golf balls and other things coming that way. They, I mean,
You know,
they can
maybe
see
you
it.
should bring letters
Before we went
from,
through this process, we spoke with all of our neighbors.
maybe it would be helpful to get letters from them to bring in. 'Cause we're only a recommendation. It's gonna go to the city council.
We're
But if we
trying
Let's
to
have
make it.
letters in, when would they need, I can have letters by the end of the month.
Next Tuesday is city council meeting.
Tuesdays.
Any one that it would impact, you know.
Okay.
Correct. We already have to send it out to anybody within,
Cause I wouldn't even ask if they wasn't good with it.
We sit back there now to enjoy it. We just have to avoid making sure the kids don't get hit, we don't get hit. We sit back there now to enjoy it. Whether we enjoy it with a screen or not, that's where we wanna be. We're trying to make this golf course look really great by our house. And make it beautiful with plants. Whereas you see people who are not even taking care of their stuff. All we're trying to do is upgrade it and look good, and stand out.
Okay.
I will have, I will get the letters. Yeah.
I have visited the property and, I've never what particular holes on, but, it's on ponds. Eight? And since I used to be an avid golfer, it's a dog leg to the left. And unfortunately, with a dog leg, a slight dog leg to the left, most golfers are gonna put a ball right in their backyard. It's just, I could golf
Daily.
every day, just about.
I understand.
I didn't do it for fun, I had to do it for work. And it
well,
wasn't
he said
professional
that
golf.
nice big oak tree that blocks the ball. But
There's no, well, there's no tree, but it's on the other side of the house.
and they cut it down.
Yeah. So I understand the safety concerns. I really do. And I don't know if there is a compromise that can be made in making it, instead of going 20 feet, 10 feet, whether that would make it feasible for you. I understand the concerns of other people that are on the golf course. But I've lived in Diamondhead more than 20 years, or nearly 20 years, I should say. And before when the POA was granting variances, and I'm sorry, but my own experience has been, depends who you were and who you knew.
Yeah.
Okay?
Drive around and see
I'm not
that.
saying it's right, I'm not saying it's, but unfortunately, we're the city now, okay? And as you've been told, even though we may grant a variance to you, the POA can deny it, okay? So it puts us in a very difficult position because we look at things perhaps more in a black and white scenario than what the POA does. And you can also go to the city council, and present your case to them with those letters, okay? Because all we have is two letters against, nothing supporting your case. So, at this point, if there's no further comments from the commissioners, I will call for a vote on the standing amendment that's on the table. Okay.
Just, so we don't, can't he retract it, so we don't vote on it, and then bring in positive letters, so that he doesn't have to go to city council with a no vote? Maybe, come out with a plan to maybe not go 20 feet back, talk to his neighbors, bring in some positive letters, so that, he doesn't have to
drawing, and what would be acceptable to them, of course he could do that.
And it would be his option to withdraw.
Yes, it's his option, not our option.
Should we have the right to request a recommendation tonight or withdraw?
To request a recommendation to withdraw for tonight.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
appreciate that, because that place was a jungle, and when we got it, and the people across the street thank us, because they now, when they on the other side, they now can see through. So maybe we'll bring those people to the
All
project.
right.
Well, we're bringing neighbors on each side that we've already spoken to in writing.
Okay.
Okay, just make sure everybody understands that it will not come up at our next meeting, because it has to be re-advertised, and we have to go through the same process of advertising in the Seacoast Echo, and also sending notifications to adjoining property owners. So, our next, meeting is May 25th, and the meeting after that will be the June meeting, before it can come up again.
What option do we have, when it's only option we have?
I just want you to be informed.
We have 1 out of 5 supporters, so that's a no-go.
Like we said, we're only recommending the city council, so you could go to the city council. And
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
gonna
how
follow y'all's
often the city
recommendation.
council takes our
They
recommendations
gonna
or
follow
not.
y'all's recommendation.
Let me clarify, when I talked to the POA, they just waited to see what decision y'all had, they never said whether it can go or not. They just waiting for y'all to make them try to stand by y'all.
That has no bearing on us, you know, whatever they want to do, that's fine.
Interesting that that's what they do.
I'm just laying the guys.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna do all my homework, so.
Is your property in phase one?
Are we up in July?
That's what I was about to say. Okay.
We're up in July this year?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You're in phase 2, phase 1, I mean?
Phase two, it says.
Phase two.
Phase two, up in July 2021.
I'm in phase 2. Oh, good. All right, okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, let's get back to the agenda here. Okay. Any further business? Any announcements for the community from the commissioners?
They have to make any statement to withdraw it, or is it?
I believe he did withdraw it. And so that's, the minutes will reflect that the applicant withdrew their application. They're gonna come back and resubmit.
And the next city council meeting is next week, what day?
May 4th, 6 P.M.
May 4th, 6 P.M. Anything else?
And our next planning commission meeting is May 25th,
Got May 25th.
6 P.M. right here.
May 25th. Yes, we have a meeting on Thursday from, the Orion Group. Those of you who make it, I think it would be great if you could. It's very important, because we're gonna have to make some recommendations, decisions on that.
Thus, at some point, that is coming to you all.
6 o'clock.